the bag work about an apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
Yes, indeed, New York City. Once again, the city sounds of the Wild Shangers, Ron G. Y'all check it out. This is my mixes, y'all. Mixes part 3 now. Butts how we go down. 1, 2, 3. Drum tap.
What's good? Y'all tuning in to Apartment 5B podcast, hosted by your man, Kel. I got my squad up here on deck with me today. I got my man Jake from Boston up there representing the Celtics. What's good brother?
Yep, Celtics. I'm still repping the Celtics, even though the dreams have already been shattered 4.5 minutes into the season. But yeah, we're good.
That was a gruesome injury. That's one of them injuries that just don't make no sense. Like, the game just got started. It was almost like layup lines almost in it. So it's crazy. It's crazy. But man, I'm a Sixers fan, so just trust the process, man. It takes time. It takes time. I got my brother Vegas with me. What's going on, Veg?
It's popping, man. I'm chilling, man. About to quit my job. I'm lying. But I'm good.
I see you got that revised Quest joint in the back there, right there. One of my favorite Tribe remixes.
Yeah, man. This actually used to belong to my brother.
All right, so you jacked.
I just stole the shit. So.
I feel you.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah. And I got my man DJ Rec One. What's going on, fam?
It's good, man.
All right, well, you already know we diving right into it. For this week's joint, we talking about something that I feel like is such an intricate part of hip hop, but a lot of times doesn't get talked about as much as other things, and that's mixtapes. And mixtapes to me were like the beginning of hearing so much music, especially in the 90s with them Clue tapes. It was like always hearing exclusives and everything like that. It's to the point that there's some songs that when I still hear them, I still hear Clue in the background. Like I can't hear it without hearing Clue in the background. Like, so we're going to be chopping it up about the beginning, how they changed. We got mixtape winning Grammys now and just everything. So we're going to be chopping up about some of our favorite mixtapes, the history, how we got put onto them and all that stuff. First, we're going to dive into a little bit of just the history. I mean, I'm 43, so I can't dive too much into what was going on in the 70s, but just what I've read and heard about was just how Flash, Herc, and Bam, they would record their jams and everything like that and put those on tapes. Those were more so-called party tapes that would kind of, make its way throughout the 5 boroughs. And if cats watched the Get Down, you kind of saw an imitation of that when the youngins, the Get Down brothers, that took Flash's tape and they was acting like it was his tape. So, those things kind of started off of how parties and things would get around just throughout the 5 boroughs. Because if these joints are going on in the Bronx, how they get into Brooklyn, how they get into Queens, how they even making it down to Jersey and Philly, just through the hand to hand. So those are like the party tapes. Then me being from Philly, we got into mixtapes and it was just always like DJs showing skills. Like you had Jazzy Jeff and them had mixtapes, Cash Money. I'm from Uptown Philly, which is west of Blaine Mountain area. A lot of the hip hop from Philly, especially in the early 80s, was coming out of West Philly. That's where Will, Jeff, Schoolie D, Steady B, all them cats are from. I got my first DJ setup. I was 10. It was 1984. And me and my man, cool DJ Frank, started making mixtapes. And for us, mixtapes were just joints that was whatever 12 inches we had, whatever new joints we had, we just put on there, whatever. Remembering, I'm 10 years old. I ain't have no job. I ain't have no money to go out and buy records, anything like that. So it was literally Frank's brother Kev was a DJ, so we raid his crates and things like that. Now, mixtapes changed my life in 1992. I'm a freshman at Morgan State, and I'm on the bridge, and I hear some car blasting Stephanie Mills, Something in the Way You Make Me Feel. Now, I love that song. My pop used to always play it, but it was an a cappella version. And I'm like, yo, where's the beat? Like, what's what? And then out of nowhere, I can't remember if it was Synthetic Substitution or Impeach the President, but a break beat dropped, and I lost my fucking mind. I was like, what is this? Yo, how is Stephanie Mills singing over Impeach the President? Like, yo, this is... It was crazy. I don't even remember who was playing it, but I think one of my peoples from New York had a school. They was like, yo, that's Ron G. And I'm like, yo, who the hell is Ron G?
Ron G, the youngest in charge.
Ron G, the youngest in charge. And I'm like, yo, I thought Special Ed was the youngest in charge. It was like, Ron G. So I'm like, all right. So, I mean, from that day forward, I went on a mission. And to this day, in my mom's crib in Philly, I have Timberland boxes full of mixtapes. I mean, literally every mixtape I had from the 90s, I kept. I was on a mission to get these Ron G mixtapes because I had never in my life heard something like that. So when cats bring up Mary J. Blige and how Puff was a genius, I'm like, I can't give him no genius thing, because if you knew about Ron G, then when you heard Mary singing over Real Love, it kind of made sense. It was like, okay. Now remember, for me, Morgan is 92, Mary drops 91. So I don't know nothing about Ron G yet, you know. But then when I hear that, my New York niggas start schooling me on like, yeah, you know, Kid Capri was doing that, whatever. Then I'm like, oh, okay, so that's where Puff got that idea from. You got Jodeci, the Come and Talk to Me remix over the President. All those things are derivative from or derived from mixtapes, Ron G, Kid Capri, all that right there. So I mean, I never forget the next weekend I went home with a Ron G tape and played it for Frank. His mind was blown, and for the rest of that weekend, we just was in the crates looking for acapellas, trying to match up break beats, and you know, so that's what put me on to the 90s mixtape, which is for me my era. Because again, I never heard those Jeff tapes or those Cash tapes or anything like that. My introduction to mixtapes was Ron G, cats like SNS, Doo-Wop, the producer Buck Wild from DITC. He was a DJ, you know, Time Out of Queens, DJ Juice, a rack of DJs. So that's my history into getting on the mixtapes. Veg, you're from Brooklyn. When did you get put on the mixtape? And who was it? What DJ was it?
Ron G, Kid Capri. Those were more considered like blend tapes, because
right.
That Stephanie Mills joint you talking about, that joint like was universally rocked everywhere in NY. You know what I'm saying? Like even on the radio, like when the mix shows would come on, hip hop mix shows would come on, you were guaranteed to hear that blend in itself. And obviously once one person does it, everybody's looking for a break beat and a acapella to match them together to be that dude. Like, okay, well, you heard the Stephanie Mills. Did you hear the Luther in this, or the Michael Jackson in this? But for me, I didn't know anything about the tape part of it, because I used to listen to the radio a lot when I was young, and that's kind of where I would discover, what was happening, what was new. And a lot of times, I always assumed if I heard something on the radio and I heard someone playing it in the streets, they got it from the radio. But I didn't know until probably just like you, like to the early 90s that, Ron G was doing tapes. I'm used to hearing Ron G guest mix on the radio. You know what I'm saying? All these DJs, Funkmaster Flex, all of them guest DJ, but it took a minute before I could know that, they got actual tapes where, you could get direct access to, what they're doing, as opposed to catching them at midnight or something crazy like that. It wasn't until later where I know definitely in NY and in Brooklyn where you couldn't go anywhere where there wasn't like some African dude selling like 100 mixtapes. I mean, like it got crazy after a while because people wanted them, so it went from a hand to hand. One dude has it to straight up shops set up in downtown Brooklyn. But yeah, Ron G and Kid Capri was my intro to mixtapes.
All right, no doubt. Now, Jake, you're in Boston. What was it like for you up there, and what put you on to the whole mixtape phenomenon?
Yeah, so and there's Boston, and I grew up like 45 minutes outside of Boston, so I mean, just hearing hip hop in general was very rare. The first mixtape I can remember hearing was my boy went to a private school with a bunch of kids from the city, and they got the Doo-Wop 95 live tape, and he dubbed it at the house, and then I dubbed it off of that, and we just passed out like crazy. But that was the first time. So just to give, so first, like in the beginning for me, liking hip hop, I would hear stuff on the radio. If I was lucky, back then there was one station that would play stuff. That's when like Gangstar and Master Ace were in rotation, though. You know,
Right.
like Born to Roll was in rotation. It was on every hour. But then you would hear like some other songs that maybe B-sides or album cuts you didn't hear at the roller skating rink. So I would hear, okay, what song is this? Oh, that's Big Daddy Kane. Like, oh, how do I find that? You know, like, because I just didn't know. I was only like 12. And then we started seeing these like tapes at the store. We heard the 95 Live joint. Mine was blown because, you know, Redman's on there, but we didn't hear him do that song before. Like, what song is that? He's rapping over a such and such beat, or, you know, it was like that's when we're like, okay, there's way more to this level. We thought the hip hop was right here. We had a grasp on all of it, but it was like way deeper. And so that's like what mixtapes mean to me. That there was a store at the mall. They started selling you know, like hip hop gear, and there was a little section of tapes that looked like they were homemade. And you know, we're like, well, what are those? Oh, these are mixtapes. That's this, you know, and there was a lot of Providence and Boston DJs in there. So we would grab those, and I mean, no memorable names, but, you know, so we did that. And then by the time I was driving around, had my license, that Funk Master Flex, 60 Minutes of Funk came out like a mixtape, but like you know what I mean? Like on a label, or I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you would call that. And then Cash Money had that Guess Who Came for Dinner, or Who Got Invited for Dinner, or something like that. That DJ Cash Money one too. So that was like all we had for mixtapes. Then you get a little older, able to drive in the city a lot more, and that's where you get anything. And they were all dubs of dubs too. They were all, you know, they weren't the actual copies, but that's where you would find DJ Craig G and all the Clue tapes, all the Cluminatis and all those, and then, you know, Kid Capri and Ron G I never really got into, honestly, until I actually just met him like last year. We got him to come out to this little stick of a town called Ashland, Massachusetts, to do my boy's 40th birthday party. And Price is Right, he came out and did it. So I started getting him later on. So I got on a USB, I got all his tape everything he ever did. So I'm rambling here, but basically mixtapes made me realize that hip hop was so much deeper than I thought. Like these dudes have tons of verses, and sometimes you get gypped and you're like, oh, you already did that verse on such and such or whatever, you know. But that's why I love the bottom. It just really widened my whole horizon for it.
That's dope. Now, Rec, you a DJ. You're from Queens and Jersey. What was it like for you, and what was you put on to mixtapes?
Man, I got the best of both worlds, man, because I grew up, you know, in Queens, parents, you know, divorced, and I ended up having to, you know, move out to Jersey. So I was back and forth. So I got hit with the New York side of it, and then I got hit with the Philly side and everything in between. The first mixtape I remember, like you said, is that Stephanie Mills with the break. Like Veg said, that's universal. That's like the ultimate break beat mixtape. Like when you hear a mixtape, you ultimately think of that. But outside of that, the first time I can remember hearing a mixtape, I was in the Bronx, because my cousins are from the Bronx. My family's really from the Bronx, but they moved to Queens. It was a G-Bo the Pro Double Law mixtape, and that's telling you how deep in the game cats are. Because if you don't know about G-Bo the Pro and Double Law, two Puerto Ricans, I'm telling you, man, these dudes are serious on the mixtapes, man. 4 tracks, skills. They were putting stuff on mixtapes that were pretty much B-sides on everyday other stuff, but it was dope. And the first thing I remember hearing was No Equal by the Beatnuts. My uncle had it, and I was like, yo, what is this? Why do I keep hearing these trumpets go back to back? I need this mixtape. So he dubbed it for me, and man, that mixtape had a serious effect on me, man, because to this day I'm a huge Beatnuts fan. Like, you know, Beatnuts in that song, when I hear that, you know, I'm just like, I go right back to the Bronx summer in '91, you know. Outside of that, Onyx. I went Christmas shopping one year in Jamaica, Queens. If you know anything about Queens, you hit up, you know, Jamaica Ave, you got the Coliseum. Just make sure you with some people, because you don't want to go out there. You don't want to go out there suspect, because you will get hit. We're on the corner of Jamaica Ave and where the Coliseum sits. It sits back. It doesn't sit on Jamaica Avenue. It sits back. And I hear doom, 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 doom. I hear the bass line as you hit the corner. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Take him up, take him. And it echoes. It echoes, right? This is the first time I've ever heard this. This is Christmas of like 92. And the corner is packed. And like Veg said, the Africans had the mixtapes on lock. And you knew it was something special because the dude just couldn't keep the tape. To this day, I have no idea whose tape it was. But I remember very, very much how much people was like, yo, let me get that tape. Whatever you're playing, I want that one. You know, and it's like you said, man, certain songs, you don't hear them the same way. You hear that DJ screaming over that tape, or it takes you right back to that minute where you were either on the block somewhere, wherever you was when you heard it. I'm sure every time you hear Stephanie Mills, you go right back to the bridge at Morgan. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't hear it that way. It takes you right back. I didn't really get big in the mixtapes until about the mid 90s, man. When I really started picking up the craft of DJing and learning, you know, what certain things were. By that time, you know, turntablism was starting to get crazy. So it wasn't about having the hot song or having the hot blend. It was how you put everything together from a turntablist standpoint, you know. And that's kind of, you know, what I try to do now. I'm still working at it, man. You figure 25, 30 years I've been touching turntables and I'm still trying. So it's just one of those things, man. It's like a drug, you know.
Nah, I feel you. It's dope how Veg brought up how they were more so blend tapes, because I think for me, those were my favorite type mixtapes. And I think it's the production side of me, because when you essentially think about it, you're taking an R&B acapella and you're trying to find a beat to match. It's the same thing you're basically doing when you're making a beat. You're trying to find a drum break and some music on top of it and then matching that. So when cats like Buck Wild and them start becoming producers, it's almost why it's synonymous that DJs eventually become producers, because doing all of that blending, you realize you're doing the same thing on an S12 or whatever type of production equipment you have, which is why so many DJs end up becoming producers or end up dabbling in it, because it comes from the same vein. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, back in the day, you know, when we didn't have equipment, I would be over my man Cool DJ Frank's house and we'd find something and find the break beat to go on top of it and just rhyme over that. Or when people talk about pause tapes. Now, talking about tapes, before we go any deeper with mixtapes, I just want to chop it up with y'all. And Jake, you're a little younger than us, but prayerfully you still know about tapes. And just, Naomi was in here the other day, and I still got all my old equipment in here, and she was just like, Daddy, what is this? Like, what with this? Like, she's like, how do I play it? You know, like these kids with their phones, it's just like,
they have no idea.
Having one piece, they're not from this. Now, she's been around records her whole life, but she was just like, what do I have no idea. And I was just like, baby, this tapes, man, this is, you know, having to break the things off so you couldn't record over them, and then having to win it if you wanted
having to tape them back together when they pop
over it.
Exactly. So just on some funny shit for a minute, just one of my favorite Nas lines, never put me in your box if you shit these tapes. If this has happened to you, just the ill tape story of losing a tape, popping a tape. For me, it was my old head Jerome. He was like, yo, NWA. I was like, man, them Jerry Curl dudes, they look like. Then I heard Straight Outta Compton, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I went all the way to the sound of Germantown in the rain, brought the tape, popped it in my Walkman, on the bus back, and the joint popped. I mean, it wasn't even a day old. It wasn't an hour old, and the joint popped. I mean, yo, I'm traveling in the rain to Straight Outta Compton. I got to say, that was my worst tape catastrophe ever, because it was back, because it's like when you dealing with them sound of Germantowns and Vague and Brooklyn with Beach Street, it's like you buy the tape, that's it. Like
that's it.
Ain't taking no. You take that rapping off it. It's a hard knock life. You back to zero again. So that was that was probably the worst tape. And I mean, I've got thousands of them. The tape getting all scrambled up, having to get the pencil out and. You know, have to do this. Tape would come out, try to do the tape would come out like that.
It makes the loop.
Yeah, you'd have to get
You gotta
get the loop right. You gotta get the loop right.
up in there and make
If you do it too fast, the loop turns into a knot.
Yeah, fuck the whole thing.
Like I'm trying to do it right now. I haven't done this for
Oh
years.
man, you're killing me right now.
This
I'm
is
having
the
anxiety right now, Kill.
Hey, Kill, did you have the small scissors to cut the small pieces?
dog. I'm talking about this generation will never understand. We were surgeons back in the day when it came to you get your scissors, you get a piece of scotch tape, you in surgery. There was a mixtape that it took you forever to get your hands on. Like, I think I done messed this joint up. So I'm gonna go.
Yeah, man, that's looking kind of curly, man. I'm starting to get nervous.
You gotta like put your finger in there and
giving me anxiety. Yeah, you gotta hold your finger. You gotta hold your pinky on the bottom, hold it tight, and
Jesus,
man,
we back. This right here, this is surgery. This is surgery. So, Vay, give me a tape massacre. If you got one.
I got a tape here.
Oh,
just sitting in stash. But I have one because when I was real young and shit, and my brother was a DJ. You know, if there was an album he was mixing or I'd hear, I'd be like, "Yo, can you make me a copy?" Like I was begging, but you know, I ain't had no money and shit.
Right.
And I remember he made me a copy of Public Enemy's "It Takes a Nation of Millions." And that shows you how we were as hip hop fans. I was mad young, and I played that to death, and only understood half of it. But when that shit popped, and you talking about a little kid who don't have money, who begged his brother for weeks to get that tape, man. And I was a crybaby when I was young. I don't mind saying that. Man, I think I was crying. I think everything was happening. I wanted to break that shit, but I wanted it back. And God rest the dead, you know what I'm saying? Ill Will, my cousin Will, he was like, "Yo, it's not ripped. You just gotta put the pencil in here and do this and slice and shit." And I was just like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, good, thank you. But yeah, man, the way I felt though, like when that joint popped, because you know the music stopped, and you're like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" And you pull that joint out, and it's like shit like pizza just everywhere, and I was just like, "My God, like, I'm never getting another copy. Like, it's terrible." But yeah, man, that probably was my worst experience. And you know, tape owners, we got a million of them stories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
buying albums over and all types of shit. But yeah, that one really got to me at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. This ain't a tape memory, but the funny thing is, I've always been scared of my pop. Like, still to this day, I'm scared of this dude. And like, it's like 4th to 5th grade graduation. This 84, and this dude buys me a Walkman. Crazy thing is, you know, I'm listening to it, and then one day it just stops, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I broke it," and I just hit it because I ain't never wanted to know that I broke it. And my mom's was like, "Yo, where's your Walkman?" I was like, "Yo, on the low, like, yo, that shit broke," you know. And I wanted you to know because you gonna put my hand because I broke the Walkman. And she was just sitting here like, "Yo, you that scared of your dad that you?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, yo, I'm scared. You know, which is why I don't get these teenagers that I got who like are not scared of shit, like nothing. But and the funny part of this story was just the batteries died. I had no idea that the batteries died in the Walkman. You know, I'm you know, quick fix. And my mom was like, "Yo, stop broke. New batteries." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I ain't put this for like 3 months because I ain't want him to not see me with it." And it was just new batteries. So all that to say, parents, don't be that hard on your kids. They not even want to tell you that they think they broke something. I didn't break his equipment. I thought I broke what was mine, but the fact that he brought it still made it his. So, you know, be a little easy on your kids. Don't be too easy, but don't have your kids that scared of you that they can't tell you, you know, that their iPod battery died and they scared or whatever. So
you know though, you know that's a black father. You know what was gonna happen. He was gonna come in there with that question like, "Where you walking at?"
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You would be like, "Oh, it's in the room." Like,
let me see it.
Focus on my studies right now.
Let me see it.
I'm trying to get my mind in these books. You know, that hip hop stuff is killing me right now, so I'm just gonna take a break or whatever. Jay, give me a tape story if you got one, man.
Man, like Vegas said, there's a million. So for me, I wasn't allowed to even have hip hop in my house. It was like contraband. So they heard "Shut 'Em Down" from Public Enemy. They were like, "What is this Black Rage and why is it coming out?" I'm like, this man sounds scary. And then they found like X Clan with all like the Muslim stuff on it, and they found the Onyx tape that said "Back the fuck up" on it. Actually, my brother got caught with that and fucking lied about it, and said it was mine, and so they took it anyway. We would go, me and my boy Jesse, we'd go to the store, we'd buy a CD and a blank tape, and we'd split the cost. And so he basically got hooked up because he'd buy the CD, I'd buy a blank tape, or he'd buy the tape, I'd buy a blank tape. We'd dub it at his house, I'd bring it home and stash it under my mattress. No nudie mags under there. It was like Public Enemy and Wu-Tang. That's all was under there. But
wow.
So I would make pause tapes a lot because we had a college radio station out here. It was incredible. From 8 to 11 every night. I found it in like 92. And I would just record. And I would bring it over to my boy's house like, yo, I know you don't like hip-hop, but you got to hear this song. Like Bushwick Bill's Everclear song where he's talking about, this is a midget. This guy's a midget and he's rapping about shooting himself in the eye. Does that interest you? And so I'd bring it over to the house and I'd put it in their tape deck, which hasn't touched the tape in like 10 years because everybody's using CDs and it just get punched up. And I'd be pulling it out and all upset. And like, oh, who cares? That happened to me, I don't know, at least half a dozen times.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. That crunching sound, niggas be running to the radio like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's gonna inject you with best. You gotta pull it out and it comes out 6, 5 feet of it, and you're like,
Yeah.
But I think the funny thing about these stories, I'm gonna get to you, Rec, is just it shows how important this music was to us. You know, and the fact that Vegas crying, Cats got, again, people probably can't see it. I'll try and get in. Dog, these things got screws in them. I had the little screws. Oh, yeah. I would take the whole cover off. I'm not playing when I'm telling y'all this was surgery back in
they don't know. Then don't forget you got the pieces inside the middle.
Right. But I'm just saying that this is not nowadays where you lose them. Your hard drive crash. You go back to that piff and download it. It's not those days. These are the days where you may have a tape, and this tape may be the only joint in the world that got this song on it. So I'd get the screwdrivers, open this thing up. It'd be surgery time. I clear everything off my desk and be like, all right, let's get it right up. Yep. Let's get the light on it. Let's get ready to get busy because we gotta get this thing back to work and wreck. What's one of your joints, man?
It's crazy you said that, man, because I used to do the same thing. I had a desk in my corner to do my homework on the other side because my little records in my studio was on the other side. The other side was my homework table, and I'd do the same thing, clear the whole damn desk off and have tape and all kind of shit ready to fix the tape. So freshman year of college, man, I went to a real small HBCU in Virginia. And I was one of only 3 people from New Jersey at this school. So everybody else was from the South. So winter of '96, man, I'm banging group home, walking with my girlfriend back to the campus, right? And she's talking to one of her homegirls, and I'm walking, diddy bop and all. I'm like, oh shit. Open up the Walkman, and there's one of them cheap ass Sam Goody like $5 Walkmans out the bin. Ate the whole tape up. Damn. And when I pulled it out, you remember how it would get caught and you'd be having to try to like get it out?
Yeah, without ripping it.
Caught. Right. The whole tape was caught. And I'm real laid back, low key, outside of just doing music and doing these shows. I'm real chill. And she's like, yo, what's wrong? She's straight from the country. She has no fucking idea what's going on. Yeah, exactly. She's not a hip hop head, none of that. Like, she don't know shit. And she does not understand that my whole life besides her just crumbled in my hands. And I'm mad. My whole life. Cause that group home album at that time, that and the second Roots album is all I played.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's all I played at that time. It just winter, it was dark. You remember how that's a theme for that time period. Mm-hmm. That's all I played. Yo, I didn't talk to her the whole walk back to campus. And it's about a good 2 miles. We ain't running, we walking. And she can't understand why I'm sitting here trying to pull pieces out of the Walkman, not talking. And you know, it's funny, man, because every time I hear that album now, I think about that, man. I get back into my room. My roommates, one is from Maryland, the other one's from Virginia. And they used to call me Smokey. They like, Smokey, man, what's going on, man? Why you look so mad? And I just hold the fucking tape up and the shit is just tape everywhere. And they like, oh man, what tape is that? What tape is that? And I tell them what tape it was. And they really wasn't too bummed about it. You know, they're from the South. They ain't really fuck with group home like that. But I'm sitting in the corner just upset, unconsolable. I go and smoke a blunt. I was so upset, man. I had to go get my mind right.
Roll a little liquor up.
Yeah, I had to, man. It was just, but that's probably the worst time I've ever had a tape pop on me because I couldn't fix it. And I was so far from a city to where I could get that tape. I knew it was gonna be weeks before I had another one.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you talk about you can't, those will be the frustrating times because you spent all this time operating. It's almost like losing somebody on the operating table. It's like, you know, I'm doing all this work to make sure I can get this tape back to normal. And again, for younger cats out there, you know, like who can't relate to this, you know, there was no let me just go back to YouTube and grab it.
Hell no.
You know, you had a Stretch and Bobbito tape, and you wasn't, especially if you wasn't from New York or something like that, like that Stretch and Bobbito tape was gold, you know. So it literally was. That's what this music meant to us, you know, and why tapes was so important. You know what I mean? I remember when I first got I was the first one in my hood with a dual cassette recorder.
Oh.
Yeah, because a lot of cats, you know, only had the one tape, so you could only record off the radio. You couldn't dub or anything like that. You know, dubbing tapes is huge. You know, in Evil D's crib, I mean, they still have like towers of the double cassette decks from where they would have to be burning. I mean, I'm saying burning, dubbing. They're mixtapes, you know, and everything like that. So, and then it was Jake was saying earlier about mixtapes. One of the things I used to hate was they was always mad airy. There was no bass in the mixtape. It was all treble. It was like no equalization. And maybe in the original one it was, but by the time it got dubbed a million times and got down to Maryland
the quality.
Like, the quality was horrible, but here what the quality was, we just wanted to hear that joint. Now, gotta give props to DJ Drama. He's out of Philly. Y'all sure know him from Gangsta Grills and all that. One of the things I'm not really up on is eventually, I can't remember how it went, but I guess mixtapes for me kind of eventually started to die out. The blend tapes started to die out, and probably because of Strictly Hip Hop. When I started hosting the show up at 88.9, because all the exclusives that I used to get from mixtapes, now I was getting in the mail. I had the hard copy, so I had the good quality. So I think that's where I kind of fell off. So I was saying Drama because I was reading this thing that he did on mixtapes, and he was saying that with mixtapes, you got pre-50 and then post-50 mixtapes. And that's when mixtapes kind of went into a different lane, and it went from blend tapes. It went from just exclusives like Clue. That's kind of what Clue was known for, was having exclusives. And it went into where the mixtape took the place of your demo. And he says that's like from 2003 to 2007. And again, want to give props to Drama. That these are his words. It's his. I'm not trying to put it off his mind. Drama said that kind of changed the game because them mixtapes took the place of your demo. Nobody wanted to say, "Oh, here's my demo." It was like, "Well, what's up with the mixtape?" So, y'all, they tell me, number one, do you agree with that? And then number two, kind of like where that shifting. Explain a little bit to me too, because like I said, I was out of the game, the mixtape game by then. What does the post 50 mixtape look like?
I think it is. Well, it's changed drastically now. But
I mean, keep in mind, we're just doing the because he has done another breakdown from 2005 to 2009. So just because a lot of times I never heard any of the 50 mixtapes. My first thing to 50 was Wankster, and then Get Rich or Die Trying.
Oh no.
And again, the joint off the In Too Deep soundtrack, the How to Ride. But I've never heard a 50 mixtape. So when people talk about 50, I always hear them say things like, that 50 mixtape and the 50 mixtapes and everything like that. So y'all break down the 50 phenomenon of mixtapes. Bag.
All right. Well, like you said, just to recount what you said, Ron G and Kid Capri with the blend tapes, and then DJ Clue and Envy and Absolute and all these other dudes with the exclusives. Dudes like SNS were kind of doing exclusives, but they were still mixing. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to bring that element from the blend tapes into the exclusives. But then when 50 came around, 50 did something to me, because Ice Cube, he's one of my favorite rappers of all time. And when I learned about how Ice Cube got on by rhyming over other dudes' beats and putting it on a tape. And people were buying it in the hood. 50 brought that back on a different scale when he did it with the G-Unit mixtapes, which damn near all of them was classics.
Yep.
To be honest, and 50 started those mixtapes once he got shot and got dropped from Columbia.
Yes.
And Power of the Dollar didn't come out and shit, so he used that as a hustle, not only to get himself hot, but to, like you said, it was like a demo. It was like, okay, I'm blackballed from the industry, I'm dropped from Sony. How can I keep my name out? And when I tell you that, and Dipset was doing it at the same time as well, so you can't forget them, because Diplomats kind of had the mixtape game going at the same time, but 50 kind of jumped it off. But 50 had billboards in downtown Brooklyn off of mixtapes. The Get Rich or Die Trying wasn't out. Nothing. This nigga had Clear Channel coming up Fulton Street, Brooklyn. You see The Future is 50 on the mixtape. I remember I came back from Morgan and I saw that fucking sign and I was sitting there like, yo, I've never seen a mixtape on a bill. Like, that shit was crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? But he was so hot, like on Hot 97, and I think Power 105 was around by then. That's all they played, joints off of there. And 50, what he was doing was he was taking, unlike Ice Cube, who was just rhyming over people's beats, he was taking hits and making songs, basically remixing it for G-Unit.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, them shits were hot, and there were a lot of people who were upset at it. But once he did that, and Dipset, you had Dipset doing it at the same time, and both, factions were kind of blowing up, with their deals and everything. Then everybody looked at that as, yo, I make a mixtape. Everybody was rhyming over people's shit, and because remember that was like taboo. That's why Ice Cube made the Jacket for Beats,
right?
Because it was like this big taboo thing. But 50 made that shit where it was like, it wasn't. It was like he didn't give a fuck if it was R&B. Sometimes you could tell they didn't even try. You know what I'm saying? With the hooks, they would just make some shit, but people were loving it. So 50 kind of changed that whole thing, because again, these mixtapes are so successful. He got billboards, he got all this airplay. Then he signs with Aftermath. He makes all this money, blows up big, and everybody looks at it like that's the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how that joint went down.
All right, now Jake, we saw earlier offline about the Lil Wayne thing. Can you talk a little bit about the Wayne tapes and everything?
Yeah, so I mean, full disclosure, I used to hate Lil Wayne. I was like, this dude sucks, man. This is the worst. And in fact, all the whole Cash Money Records thing, I was like, ugh, And then then like Little John came out, and I was like, oh, give me that Cash Money shit. Actually, I like that. But no, so I cut hair, and these cats were like, oh, did you hear the dedication? I'm like, nah, I didn't hear. Like, you what? You got to hear? I'm like, I don't like Lil Wayne. Like, you're gonna like Lil Wayne. You're gonna like Lil Wayne if you hear this. So this dude was like, get Dedication 3. Because I forget how many he did, but he did a few. But they were all with Drama. If I'm
shits.
I think he did them all with DJ Drama. But
yes.
Dude, that was like, whoa. Okay, this dude can rap his ass off. I'm wrong, my bad. Like, he makes some really whack music, but there's no calling him untalented. Like, the dude can rap. So, that was my really, like, that's like I didn't really realize until you said it now that that's exactly what happened. Like, it was like mixtapes, and then it was like, okay, this is not my album because I'm not signed, so it's a mixtape.
Right.
It's not original beats, so we're just gonna call it a mixtape. And I think when I was making my own music, I tried to go the same route as 50, because that's right when I decided I was gonna really put music out. Right around that time, it's like, all right, so I can just grab all these instrumentals, which I already have, rap on them, and then put them out, see if people like it, and then maybe somebody throw me a beat, you know? So, I mean, I couldn't really comment on what got me to, I guess I can't really comment on it because I really didn't notice that switch, that needle flip.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the thing with me too. It was like being at the radio station, I think my ear was now tuned just to radio and not to the streets anymore. So I didn't even know anything about the flip. So when people like, you hear 50 new mixtape, like my ears just wouldn't think about it. But Rec, what about you? How did you, like, do you agree with what Drama is saying, the pre and post 50 and everything like that?
Yeah, I was in New York when those mixtapes were coming out, man. And Veg said it best, man. It was some shit that you'd never seen before. It was like frenzy. You know, 2 years ago, the dude couldn't get fucking Apple, you know, and now all of a sudden this dude's booking shows purely off of mixtapes. And this is before, this is 17 years ago. This is 17 years ago. Wow. Purely, he's going in the joint, and forgive me, but he's going in the joint singing "Got Me a Bottle." I ain't gonna tell you what song it is, but I know that cat was mad. But he's rapping that shit. It was crazy, man. That dude came to Albany and did 3 shows within 4 months, based off mixtape shit. And within that time span that you mentioned, everybody followed suit. Jeezy did the same thing.
Yeah.
With those Drama mixtapes, and that's what Drama's mixtapes became known for, taking that 50 blueprint. If you were going to do a Drama mixtape, you might have 2 or 3 songs on it that was your own songs, but everything else was going to be some freestyle shit. Period. And Drama kept it relevant because he was able to put, you know, the Drama shit on it, plus that Philly, you know, turntablism shit, plus the freestyles. He knew exactly what songs to take to have people rap on. You know, it wasn't that bullshit. He was gonna have you rap on something that's gonna, you know, highlight your talent. Right. But that whole 50, he needs a check. I will say that because he revolutionized the mixtape game. People still do it. Yeah. People still do it. They still think that is the way. No one has yet said, okay, let me be 50 and spark the new generation of what it should be. Everyone still thinks it's that, and because it's gonna die out at some point. It has to. Something else has to come in for the new way for people to get on. Yeah. You know.
And then Drum kind of went into the 2005, 2009 period of where he was just basically like, that's when blogs and the net really took over. Because I think he got knocked in 2005 or 06. It was 7.
7?
By the feds for copyright stuff and everything like that. So, of course, then it took another route. You know, same thing. Somebody get knocked in the head for sampling clearance. You now got to spin off and do something else. So he was saying that's where you had blogs like that, Piff, and different spots like that where you could stream mixtapes. And he was saying how a lot of artists and DJs were mad because it's like, yo, this is how we make our money, and you streaming it for free. But it kind of opened it up to a whole new, you know, category of people to hear stuff. And then now you have mixtapes that now mixtapes are kind of just like albums. You know, you got mixtapes. Chance just won a Grammy for what's the name of that coloring book?
Coloring book. Yeah, because you put me onto it.
Yeah, you know, and he won an album for a Grammy. You know what I mean? Won a Grammy for an album. For a mixtape. Y'all know what I'm trying to say.
Okay, we got you.
It's been a long week. So now we have it where mixtapes are winning Grammys. You know what I mean? And I don't know how it changed into that. I don't know why we just don't call them an album. I don't know if it's just out of paying homage or what it is. But, you know, I love Chance. You know, he's starting to go a little too far left for me right about now. But, you know, Up the Coloring Book, I was, you know, one of my favorite new school MCs. So it was great to see it. It's just, what do you guys think is now the difference because you're making an album. Why are you still calling it a mixtape? Why do you think people do that? Do y'all have any ideas about that? Vague, me and you have made 3 albums. We've never called them mixtapes. Is that what we're selling ourselves short? Do we need to call them mixtape?
Well, off camera, I already let you know we did make a mixtape because I put the shit on Dat Piff about 10 years ago.
There you go.
So, and I think it's I don't know. I think it's a industry thing now. I think it's whack because it's planned in some cases. You know what I'm saying? It's a way of making something feel indie, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's a mixtape. It's not an album. You know, that means it's free of all these handcuffs that usually come, all these restrictions that usually come with an album. Because I was even thinking about, I know when 50 was touring, making all those mixtapes, he had issues because if I have a hit record and you basically remix my shit, you doing shows to this production and changing my hookup a little, like, you know what I'm saying? I need some of that bread. So it started to change where you couldn't really do that, what 50 was doing that much anymore. Or at least you couldn't really treat that as your, you know, I guess your career or whatever, what you toured on. But then it got to the point where I think, because like when you talk about Chance, I think before Chance, there was a lot of people who were putting together mixtapes that really sound like some good ass albums because they had original beats, the production was top notch, you know what I'm saying, original records. They had covers and shit. In some cases, them shit's on iTunes. Like, I don't even get that. There'll be it's a mixtape that's on Dat Piff, but it's also on iTunes. You know what I'm saying? And people are paying for it. It really just paying for more quality. So I just think it's a thing where, I don't know, it depends on who it is. Because I feel like somebody, like, for example, like Big Crit, I was introduced to him through a mixtape. It was all original beats that he made. I thought it was an album, but I found out it was a mixtape. And he didn't win no Grammys or anything like that. But it was basically like the 50 formula of him making a demo, but instead of him rhyming over other people's shit, this was like a demo that's an album. That's what's crazy about it, because like demos back in the days, 3 or 4 songs. You know what I'm saying? Original beats, original songs, hooks, sample size. But now it got to the point, like with Chance and everybody else, where the mixtape is a fucking album. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's basically an album that's free. So I don't know where things change, but I know the industry is way more involved to the point where that wasn't a mixtape by Chance. The minute I heard it, this was a Kanye West produced album for the most part. I mean, as far as overseeing, not production. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to change anything though, because I'm on Dat Piff all the time, and now it's a mixture of things.
Right.
Like with Royce, he puts out mixtapes. He's rhyming over other people's beats, but then there's a lot of original material there, so it's kind of all over the place.
Right. And I think the thing too is that it probably brings a little more hoopla into as far as producers getting paid, because I think fans was with the cast from Justice League about payment for coloring book. Because I guess if you're an MC and you're trying to make a mixtape now, you essentially have to be ready to bank that thing. You know what I mean? You're asking for beats from big name producers, and you have no budget, you have no label. So I don't know if it's an agreement behind closed doors, like, yo, once this joint blows, then I'll hit you or whatever. But if you're Justice League, who's A-list producers, with Rick Ross and all of that, and now you're doing these beats for Chance, and now he's winning a Grammy, and you ain't got payment for it yet, because I'm just seeing more and more big name producers who I looked up to talking about, I'm seeing more memes about, producers ain't eating now, you know what I mean? The rappers are getting all the money, and it's almost a flip from where it used to be, because it used to be the producers did all the eating, the rappers weren't getting any money. Like the rappers are getting all the money, and the producers ain't eating. And I was one time Vegas Gangstar took us out to Dave and Buster's out here from EA, took all the DJs and everything out. And I'll never forget, Guru said something that made sense. He was like, the ill thing is Primo can go produce for anybody he wants. You know, he can do his thing. With me, I got to get permission from my label to go out and be a guest on somebody's shit, you know, and your label can't deny you. There was a time, and then we're doing a track with Young Z from the Outs and Lauryn Hill, when Lauryn was the biggest thing in the world, like Killing Me Softly, Fuji Lauryn Hill. And like, you know, Sony was like, nah, we don't want Lauryn with this Young Z dude, even though he was just on the biggest selling album, The Score, you know, and Sony shut that shit down. So Guru was just saying how it's not a fair industry because Preem can go out and make all the money he wants on the side, but I can't. You know what I mean? And let's keep it funky. It's not like Guru was that MC who everybody wanted a guest verse from anyway. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I guess it's making the industry switch too, because you know it's great for the MC because the MC can drop this free mixtape and then tour off of that. You know, whereas now the producer has nothing. It's kind of like just to get your name out there. But what about you, Jake? What do you think about the whole new phenomenon, and why do you think they just don't call it an album instead of a mixtape? Because it basically is an album.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, first of all, like that winning a Grammy, I think says more about the Grammys than it says about the album. You know what I mean? I feel like the Grammys are just kind of hopping on like that's the hot dude. That's the dude. He's in a Twitter commercial. We should use him. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I'm a conspiracy theorist. So,
good point.
The other thing is, mixtape presumes that the album's coming. So let's say I'm an unsigned artist, which I am and was, and I'm putting out an album. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? But if I put out a mixtape, that's like, okay, so there's something else coming. Maybe when it comes, it'll be this and this and this. And that's kind of how I looked at it. So I feel like if you call it a mixtape, then it means like some more is coming. But if you're already signed to a decent label, and I don't know much about Chance's situation as far as, you know, is he signed? Is he, you know, I don't know.
No, that's the whole thing with Chance. Like, yo, he's not signed. Like, I think that's why he's this big phenomenon, because he has Apple commercials, he has Kit Kat commercials, he has these at the ESPYs performing, he's doing all these things. He's the first independent artist to ever be on Saturday Night Live. He's been on Saturday Night Live twice, you know. So I think that's the phenomenon of Chance, is that he's doing all this, you know, without labels. Labels are offering him money. He doesn't want it. Why would you? Because you've already gotten what the label could probably give you as far as promotion and everything else. I mean, it's not an Apple and a Kit Kat commercial. What I need a label for, you know, so.
Well, that's just working for him. I mean, that's incredible, because I remember Mr. Kick Push tried to do that too, and I don't know where he went. What's his name? Who's the character that Jay-Z was going to sign there, and he was like, nah, I'm just going to do my own thing.
Lupe Fiasco.
Lupe, yeah. You know, I'm going to do my, yeah, okay, that's cool. But I mean, that's true, because labels are just going to say, oh, you're hot, let me zap into your electricity real quick and take some juice off of you. You don't really need them. And, you know, Rec was saying earlier, there needs to be a new blueprint. And I believe it happened with Soulja Boy. That like hurt my feelings as an MC when this dude got signed off of YouTube and MySpace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because I was like all about skills. Like I'll out rap anybody. That's my thing. I'll kill you in a battle. I'll rap. You know, I'm a ferocious MC. I'm a skillionaire. You know, like that. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares, because you can make this. You know, you got no clicks on YouTube.
Yo, it's funny you bring that up, because I think, is it Collie Park or whatever the producer, whoever brought out
Collio Park.
Yeah, I remember seeing a joint with him, and he said something like in front of his face, like, yo, your shit corny, but I know that's what the young people want. You know what I mean? So it's not even like, yo, I think you're dope. It's like, no, you're whack as hell, but you'll make.
However,
you know what I mean? So it's funny how Jake was talking about skills, and it ain't about that no more. It's just, you know, people having the foresight to just say, and to this day, that Soulja Boy explaining them breaking into the house may be the funniest video I've ever seen. Now he assassinated 50 people, still got to be one of the funniest things to this day. Greg, what about you, man? Why do you think that we're calling them, or they're tagged mixtapes? Because I think everything Veg just said, And this is the reason why I love having y'all on the show, man. I appreciate y'all so much because y'all give me ideas that I didn't think of. Veg being with the whole indie thing, you know, Jay coming with his perspective, especially with the Grammys. So what do you think is your take on why they still calling them mixtapes?
I hold the DJs accountable, man. My question is, if it's a mixtape, where the fuck is the DJ?
Where's the mix?
Exactly. Where the fuck is the mix? It is a seamless.
Yeah, it's not a tape. Yeah.
It is a seamless mix of music. There is no DJ, with the exception of maybe a future mixtape here or there. But Esco, I don't really consider him a DJ. That nigga stands back there and dances and does all kind of shit. But
he's a downloader.
The funny thing too with that record is that you bring that up, and it is no disrespect against the boy because
no disrespect.
No, not against that. I'm thinking of another because I want to get to our top 5 and shout out some cats. But even with Clue, I never heard a Clue tape where he was actually where anything got blended. When there was ever a scratch, it was like here's a song, then would stop. Clue echoing for another 8 seconds, another song. Like there was no mixing. So when you talk about how where's the DJ, it's like even when we had a DJ, there was DJs who did not even DJ, and that's a whole nother show.
It's the R. Kelly syndrome. It got overlooked because the shit he was playing was shit that nobody had ever heard. And people was losing their fucking mind. They gave it was like, well, fuck it. He ain't doing nothing over it. I can at least listen to the shit. You know what I'm saying? But with this whole mixtape phenomenon, like, okay, if that's the case, where's the DJ? You lock drama up for some shit that he's trying to do to, push the envelope. I don't want to say the culture because that shit, motherfuckers keep screaming the culture. That's like you saying you woke, but people keep trying to push the envelope to make it better, and you take that ability from them, and then you say, okay, we'll give it back to you, but under these constraints. Man, fuck that. I don't agree. I don't agree with it. When somebody tells me, yo, here's my mixtape, I don't even take it. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. I don't listen to it. Because if you come to me and say, yo, here's some music that I did, I'll respect that. But you've already labeled just shit. You like, yo, here's my mixtape. Man, okay, whatever, dude. I got it. Thank you.
It's too, fam. That's the DJ in you. That's the DJ.
It is.
It's a point of disrespect. It's almost like, being like, yo, here's my mixtape to a DJ, and it's like there's no DJ, there's no skills behind it. You know what I mean? But we're also living in a time when with Serato, everybody's a DJ. I've seen Alicia Keys, AK-47, she's a DJ, and Erykah Badu's a DJ, and Solange is a DJ, and Q-Tip's a DJ, and the names just got, and that's a whole nother show, but it is like, I felt like when things became more accessible,
yes,
it hurt so many talented people, because I always tell people that in 93, when I wanted to be a producer, you had to buy an SP-1200, which was from the door $2,500. You know what I mean? I'm 18 years old in college. I'm just trying to buy some polo. So I really don't buy $2,500 for SP-12. Then I need a turntable. Then I need speakers. I mean, I remember us sitting around plotting scams to get this money,
We didn't even talk about the board yet.
Yeah, we ain't talking about none of that. We ain't talking about So when you wanted to be a producer, when you wanted to be a photographer, when you wanted to be a videographer, these things, a DJ, these things weren't readily accessible to you.
You had to earn that shit, one way, shape, or form.
But now if you buy an iPhone, you're all those things. You're a photographer. You have people shoot movies with iPhones. You got DJ apps that I use myself. I ain't gonna front. I use a DJ app. I don't have 2 turntables.
Yeah, but I never heard you say this mix is made by DJ Kill 889.
But I
never heard you say that. So you good.
But I never call myself a DJ.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And I've had people be like, but Kill, all these mixtapes, you a DJ. And I'm like, I can't disrespect that world because I really am not. I've done great photo shoots, but I would never call myself a photographer because I know photographers and I don't want to disrespect their craft. Like, I don't know their craft. So, but that's just me. That's just the way, because I don't want people calling themselves a producer when they're really not. And again, you get your iPad, you got GarageBand, now you're a producer. Right. So Serato made it. One of the things about being a DJ, and Veg knows this from being up at 88.9, was DJs having to carry these crates. Back in the 70s, it was cats. Diamond got down with Bam and them from carrying crates. Like, you had dudes who just wanted to carry crates. Like, now when cats just show with a laptop, I mean, it's easier, but it's like half that made you a dope DJ was what's behind it. You know what I mean? But I don't want to go on a tangent. I
got one thing to say.
Tangent things. But
if you do not have these things here, and I'm talking like original pressings, multiple of them, you cannot call yourself a DJ. If you have not woken up the very next morning with your back on absolute fire because you've carried all of your fucking crates that you ever owned because you just figured you might play that one fucking song at a party, you can't call yourself a DJ. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's how I got into clubs when I was like 17. Because my dude, G Squared, he's still spinning. He's in Vegas now. And he's like, yo, just carry these crates in with me. Just walk right behind me. They're not going to say shit. I'm like, all right, cool. Just boom. I'm 17. I'm in like 11th grade, man. Smoking trees in the booth with 25-year-old dudes. Like, yeah. That was incredible. Now it's all that. Now he shows up with a laptop bag about this big.
Yeah, and I mean it's dope for the cats who did that because they paid their dues. They lifted those crates. They got back problems now in their 40s, you know. But again, it's the same way. I don't want everybody calling themselves a producer. Like, yo, if you got GarageBand, make a beat. You a beat maker. You know what I mean? And again, that's respect because if you want to learn the craft, then let's learn the craft because there is a craft. Just because you got Serato and you could blend two records doesn't make you a DJ. If you really want to be a DJ, go to somebody like Record, go to a DJ and then learn the skills. You know, it's like my mom is a jazz musician. I used to tell her, yo, I want to learn how to play the piano. I didn't really want to learn how to play the piano. I wanted to learn how to play a specific song. And she's like, nah, you got to learn the skills, you know, and it's like now you're able to bypass that. You're now able to bypass the skills and just be able to do. So that's my rant. But let's do this. Top 5 mixtapes, if y'all got them, some of y'all faves. For me personally, I got a mixture of old and new. Anything Ron G. Anything. Number tape was I had, number 8, number 4, I don't know. They on YouTube. Excuse me. Anything Ron G. Some of my favorite blends. This dude had the Phil Collins Feel It in the Air under Check the Rhyme, which was crazy.
That shit was so dope.
He had the Sexual Healing Marvin Gaye Over the Bridge Is Over, which was crazy. He had the Man in the Mirror, a song I hate by Michael Jackson. I hate that song. You know, which made me love the song because it was over BDP's The Bridge. He had Gregory Abbott, Shake You Down over like Synthetic Substitution. He had Human Nature by Michael Jackson over South Bronx. He had You Are My Lady, you know what I mean, by my dude over Nobody Beats the Biz. You know what I mean? Ron G joints. I mean, like, that was crazy. I got Jada's Green Lantern joint, the Champion. That joint is bonkers. Jada just, and that's what I love about mixtapes because I feel like it gives a lot of great MCs a chance to just beat them. It gives them a chance to not have to think of a radio record. It gives them a chance just to beat them and not have to formulate anything. I'ma just spit. DJ SNS, Niggas Ain't Nice. Classic tape because he came off dissing people. He was like, yo, all them DJs out there that all they guys exclusives and they can't mix, yo. It's like the intro just went on him just going off on people. And I just always loved SNS energy. You talked about it, Rec, with Onyx. The first time I heard This Is How We Walk in New York by Onyx with this tape. And it was the same thing. And to this day when I hear it, SNS drops it, says, this is the way we walk uptown. I mean, to this day, uptown. It's not part of the song, but I heard that SNS tape so much that it was there. Like Jake said, Doo-Wop 95. 95 Live, one of the greatest mixtapes. Yes. Q-Tip, Busta, Rampage, Fat Joe, MOP, Guru, Wu-Tang, Ill and Out, Scratch, all rhyming over there. And the next one I got is Beans with Green Lantern, Public Enemy #1.
Yeah, I got that one.
Beans on a whole nother. I don't know if this was I know, you know what? The tape sets off with them talking about him getting locked up for attempted murder. And this dude said something to the extent of, yo, how they gonna disrespect my aim? Like, dead. Like, there's no attempted murder with me. Dude just started tape off talking about, yo, how they gonna disrespect my aim? Like, I don't attempt to murder people. I either murder you or I don't. And then he just went to town on that album.
And which one is that one, Kill? Because I wasn't on Beans mixtapes back then.
Public Enemy #1. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. We got that's another thing we gotta do too.
This dude said, I'm built for the truck, but I look good in a coupe. White tee, fresh fitted, and some I some army fatigues, but still I rock the shit out of like this dude. I can't even go into it. I don't want to disrespect his lyrics because I can't get them right now. Just if you haven't heard Public Enemy #1, get that. And I got 2 joints as an extra joint. I got to shout out the Re-Up Gang. We Got It for Cheap Volume 2, the Clips, and Live and Sandman, DJ Clinton Sparks. And this is the joint that actually put me onto Drake, was Drake's So Far Gone mixtape. You know,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because for years, this is,
So you didn't catch the joint with Socrates in them?
Nah, I didn't catch that. I caught this because everybody kept telling me about Drake, and I'm like, this dude, like, nah, he just don't look like he could rap. And like, so many people. I mean, it was just an array of people. I mean, literally, like street dudes was telling me about Drake. Church people were even telling me about Drake. People about men's ministry start telling you about a rapper, like
you might want to check them out.
You're supposed to listen to rappers.
Transcended a little.
When they talking about it, I was like, okay, I done got two extremes. I got the hood and the church telling me about this light skinned dude. I gotta check Drake out, and that mixtape to me is banana. So those are my top 5 mixtapes. Vay, what you got on some of your favorite joints, B?
All right, I got well, first of all, a quick shout out to my man Ocean. I was thinking of a couple, but brother memory wasn't really there, so I needed to know, like, all right, what's your top 5? And he gave me some that I totally forgot about. So I got 5, but I got a couple honorable mentions, and it ties into all the different types we talked about. I got of course, Doo-Wop Live 95, you know what I'm saying? Classic mixtape. I even seen online people calling it the greatest mixtape of all time. I don't know about that. But very close to that, you know what I'm saying? I have DJ Clue Show Me the Money Part 1. Now, I was at Morgan when this joint dropped, and this is probably Clue when in his prime as far as his mixtapes. He did used to DJ and mix, but I think he realized after a while that because he was playing exclusives, people just wanted to hear that shit. Because it's different when you mixing records we know versus, you got some Biggie track we've never heard of and you bringing it back a million times. Niggas like, yo, play that shit. You know what I'm saying? But the Show Me the Money joint, Part 1, there are a lot. This shit on here that's still exclusive to this day. The nature freestyle on here. I forget what beat he was rhyming over. Hypnotize was on here before the song came out. This is where Big was mad at DJ Clue for playing this shit because for one, this is 96. Big is still alive.
Yep. And
Hypnotize ain't out yet as a single. But damn sure don't have a video out. It was on this mixtape. What else he had on here? A cat that was a throwback to me, the dude Genovese. Y'all remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all remember that dude?
Vaguely. I remember the name vaguely.
I was listening to this today, like, oh shit, like I forgot about that cat.
It was nice.
What else was on here? The Locks kind of got they start on these Clue mixtapes. Well was on here. You know what I'm saying? That kind of introduced me to the Locks. What else was on there? Buckshot, Follow My Lead. Component Oriego, T-O-N-Y. What else was on here? Something else was on here that was real exclusive. Large Professor and Nas, 1-on-1. 1+1, I mean.
That was dope.
Tragedy and Iman Thug, Illuminati. Yeah, I know that's
like, say no more.
That's like, if you want an overhead to get in the bag.
Yeah.
Joints where it's kind of like, yo, this mumble rap shit. You hear this dangerous ass music I'm playing? And there was now this particular freestyle on here, Jay-Z featuring Source Money, Dead or Alive Part 2. The reason why that stood out to me at that time and especially now was because Tupac had just died not too long ago. And we had already, before Machiavelli really dropped, or I think it did, that was the first time we heard him naming Jay-Z also. This record was loosely about Tupac, but Jay-Z didn't want it out. But Clue was on his exclusive shit. He put it out because the thing is, niggas want to see you whether you dead or alive. And I was like, man, that's kind of fucking cold. This nigga just died. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm a big fan of Jay-Z. So that new Jay-Z, y'all know, like, Jay-Z did not care back then. But yeah, like Crew was on here, Rampage, a couple of people. So that Clue tape was dope. Something more new and was Elzai's Elmatic. I did not want to hear that joint when I first heard about it, because I'm like, how can you do Elmatic over?
Correct. Like why? You know?
Why? Yeah, why? And it's impossible. Until I heard that shit.
Yeah.
He did an excellent. That is the definitive. Like, if there's any dude out there right now, like, yo, I'm gonna do, you know, Good Kid, Mad City over.
Nope, don't do it.
One, don't do that shit. But if you can, you have to do it at this level, because Elzai not only was dope in taking these classics and flipping them for Detroit, his skill level was there where you didn't feel like it was a drop off from listening to Illmatic. And more importantly, to me at least, to have Will Sessions, the band, play a lot of these beats and extend these classic beats we know, even extending it where they're playing out the samples to some of these records.
I think that's one of the things that helped. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think if he would have just rhymed over the instrumentals, it wouldn't have.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
that definitely is Elzai and Will Sessions. You know,
exactly.
Excellent.
That's what helped it to work. All right, let me try to run through these real quick. This, even though I wasn't going in order, this is absolutely my number one. Mr. C's, The Best of Biggie. When I tell you, in BK, before Ready to Die came out, this was Biggie's debut album. This was a mixtape where you didn't really get a lot of best ofs in mixtape form, let alone a best of from a dude who didn't have a debut album.
The best of somebody who don't know, right?
That's how, but that's a testament to those cats who say, yo, but Biggie only had 2 albums, nigga. like you be saying with Nick and Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah,
this is a prime example. The Best of Biggie in my hood in Brooklyn, everybody had it. Like me and my sister, we in the same house, we had different copies. Like,
that's
you know
crazy.
What I'm saying?
That's
you
crazy.
You got your copy, I got
mine.
It featured him, you know, the freestyle in the basement joint. Forget what that was called. You know, his features on like Mary J. Blige records, Party and Bullshit, Dreams. Some of the more obscure stuff, like the joint he did, Bustin' Nut with Luke, which I think is one of the greatest songs that nobody talk about ever, because that shit was nasty. They were just saying the best shit.
They were saying some wild shit.
All right, so moving along, the G Unit mixtapes, of course, the Diplomats mixtapes, Fabulous, the Soul Tape series, and the Summertime Shootout series. Though,
I'm praying he comes with a Freddie versus Jason.
Yeah, we'll see. Halloween right around the corner. Hopefully.
I'm praying.
Another one, killer like this, Move Music series.
Here's the funny part. I only love 4. The rest,
you don't like before.
But you know what's crazy? That's the least like a mixtape of all 4.
Right, because that's like an album.
That's like an album.
That's like an album. But Move Music 2, that's the one. Like, you know what I'm saying? We was really in his bag. J Electronica.
Ooh.
What is it? I forget the name of the
I have that whole discography of mixtapes.
Well, yeah, J Electronica with rhyming over all the Dillabees. Basically, the mixtape that got him signed. It's just a real quick story. I learned about J Electronica through a Mos Def concert that I went to in Carnegie Hall years ago, because I went there. You know, we went there to see Mos Def. He was with Robbie Glasper before Robbie Glasper blew up. And he did this show where he really didn't do much of his music. He was doing other people's music. And he was like, yeah, I got this ill verse from this dude called J Electronica and shit. And he did the Eternal Sunshine joint. He basically recited it. That shit told me in my seat, okay, I got to go find this, because here's Mos Def performing an unknown dude's record in Carnegie Hall. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless. And the last three are just because they're old school. Kid Capri's 52 beats, which is Kid Capri 52 break beats that he mixed. Look it up. It's one of the greatest mixtapes of all time. And honestly, I forgot about it until my man Ocean mentioned it. When you go and look, and especially when you look at the track listing, Maybe Kill, when you hear something, you'll be like, shit, I got that. You know what I'm saying? Ron G is on part 2. And lastly, Brucey B's mixtape from 1990, which is one of those tapes that, along with Ron G, they look at it as the shit that started it all for mixtapes. So,
my man, Brucey B.
yeah.
Man, when he used to come on, you hear Brucey B mixtape, everything stopped, yo. I remember that shit as a young kid. Niggas was like, yo, Brucey B, yo, put that shit in. For real.
Nick, what's some of yours, man? What you got?
So I'm surprised nobody mentioned it, man. But me being the lyricist is the Tony Touch 50 MCs. That was all of a sudden you got verses from cats I never heard of, and you know, you could read, oh, who's this? Okay, I like this person. Okay, I like this person. You know, you could tell the theme for me was always trying to learn more. It wasn't around me. I had to go find it. So if I could get this, now I got 50 other rappers I might not have heard of. The first one and the second one of that. The second one featured Crumb Snatcher, which is a dude from Massachusetts. So that was big for like, whoa, Boston rapper besides LOG and besides RSO, you know, because they're pretty much the only ones.
Oh, Crumb is
Crumb is a beast.
Oh, he's crazy. He just kept getting locked up at the worst times, man. He's got arguably one of the best verse on Moment of Truth, which is arguably the best album from Gang Starr. It's like, man, it's crazy. Anyhow, Doo-Wop 95 Lives, probably my number one, then 50 MCs. Then I got really into mashup mixtapes, which I didn't really get to talk about too much tonight. I didn't really get into it, but Green Lantern put up this thing called New York State of Mind, and it was a Beastie Boys mashup. So it was Beastie Boys rhymes over ill beats, like Mobb Deep beats, you know, like tough stuff. And then there was did you guys ever hear that Blue Eyes versus meets Bed-Stuy or versus Bed-Stuy? And it was Biggie. Somebody sampled Sinatra tracks and made put remix Biggie joints over these Sinatra beats.
It's dope.
Matching up. Yeah, it's called Blue Eyes meets Bed-Stuy or Bed-Stuy versus Blue Eyes or something like that. And I tried to find it today just so I could actually reference it. I'll tell you, all I came up with was a strange cat's name, man. I'm like, oh, this isn't even a DJ. This is it. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, not really.
That's Blue Eyes.
Yeah. That was incredible. That was like a mashup thing. And then Danger Mouse made the Grey album. Bizarre. Beatles' White Album with Jay-Z's Black Album. So music from the White Album with the lyrics from the Black Album. It was like I got really into that stuff. So that's sort of like where I'm at with mixtapes, my top.
All right, no doubt. Rec, what you got, brother?
Man. So mine are gonna be more just kind of regional. DJ Juice, man, aka J.U. Ice out of Trenton. First time I realized that you could use a 4-track and make mixtapes.
Hold up. You know what's funny? SNS was dissing them too. When you gotta use a mix board to make
Yeah. Hey, but that was some of the most beautiful shit coming out of speakers though. Can't front.
No.
It was dope. It was dope.
Niggas ain't nice if you need a mix board.
Yeah. I mean, but Juice didn't necessarily need it, but he used it as a tool.
Right.
One in particular, him and DJ Bomb Bomb is a reggae DJ out of Trenton. Number 22. They basically take all the hot reggae, because back then, man, reggae and hip hop, that shit was all one. It wasn't, you didn't go to a party and not hear reggae, and if you did, somebody was gonna get fucked up. Number 22 came out in about 92. It's about 24 tracks strong, and it's dope, man. You can find it easily online. I ain't gonna tell you where to go get it. Go find it. If you know how to look for it, you can find it. DJ Clue for President. I really was not a big Clue head, but this one stuck with me, man. Summer of '98. I heard that shit coming out of a fucking 7-Eleven. And I heard that Jay-Z mixed freestyle. and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go find this, and it was a dope mixtape, man. It had let me see, I got the Onyx joint, Shut 'Em Down was on there. Black Rob, Can I Live? Way before Black Rob even put out an album. This is when Black Rob, people kind of heard who he was, but had no clue who he was. The Locks were all over this mixtape. Noriega had a dope freestyle with Imam Thug and a bunch of other cats. Cameron dropped a 357 on there. If you know anything about Summer '98, Cameron was all over it. 357, Pull It, him, McGruff, that whole crew. DMX had to stop being greedy John on there before the album dropped. So it was just a dope mixtape. It had a solid mix of everything. All the Bad Boy mixtapes. Period. Them shits was fucking crazy. For those that don't know, Bad Boy was the dope shit back in the day, and they had mixtapes, and them shits had some of the craziest songs ever on those mixtapes. You can find those easily. I'm gonna go with some local guys, man, that definitely have some influence on me. DJ B out of Philly and DJ J-Ski out of Jersey, man. In '96, they made a mixtape called Jersey Delph Volume 1. They basically took skills that back then cats just didn't have on East Coast and made a mixtape. And it is dope, period. It's 2 turntablists on the mixtape, and it's not too heavy into just like scratching and cutting. It's just right. And my last one is going to be Double R and G-Bo the Pro, number 14.
All right, no
Dope
doubt.
mixtape.
Yo, Kill, real quick.
What's good, man?
You know.
Yo, hold tight. Are you about to tell us a story of how Doo-Wop didn't really DJ? And he got,
Nah.
I'm not here for that, bro.
Steph Lover from the Bounce Squad was DJing for real.
I don't need that.
I hope not.
Steph Lover get all the shine.
Nah, but you could tell mixtapes is some old shit because niggas got numbers and shit. This nigga like Daddy Wop number 16 and 75. It's like, god damn, he had 75 of them shit. So.
I mean, but think about it. With the foundation mixes, what's next to him? A fucking number.
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's why it's like sometimes you gotta be real specific. You got y'all like DJ Clue, Summertime. Y'all very specific. It's like Ron G, I can say any of them, but with some DJs you gotta be like, nah, number 15, not 14. Gotta be 15 because
exactly.
You gotta be specific. But yo, want to give a shout out to the DJs that like Breakfast did. Doo-Wop and the Bounce Squad was huge for me. I mean, these cats would set off every mixtape with rhymes. And they Lord Tariq used to be in the Bounce Squad. It was a girl in there. I forgot.
Steph Lover.
It was a dude named Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss was a beast.
Oh, and it's gonna sound crazy, but he was like, "Where do you go?"
I hated that nigga.
Used to kill.
It was a gimmick. It was cool.
It was a gimmick, but it was like, I'd be like, I just want to hear Snagglepuss's rhymes. I just want to hear Snagglepuss. But Craig G and SNS, Buck Wild, Dog Time with some crazy blends. Kid Capri, DJ Clue, Tony Touch, Evil D is on the mix. Come on, kick it.
Ooh.
Some of the DJs, DJ Drama, Green Lantern, Who Kid, DJ Screw out of Houston, K Slay and Don Cannon. Some of the DJs I know I missed out.
Yeah,
I'm leaving out a million. It's no disrespect. Blame the head, not the heart. But it just is what it is. My book of the week, as you can see, I'm rocking the low. We got this right here.
Oh yeah,
Low
I need
by
that.
my man Pro. One of the original Low Lives. This joint, if you in the Polo, man, this book it is so many goodies in here. It just doesn't even make sense right here. If you love as much as I do. I mean, it's got the store. Oh man! And then they just came out with the ski joints again. They just reissued them. But yo, great stories about the Low Lives in Brooklyn, Ralphie's Kids, everything about the Low Lives. Nice thick book. If you're into it, definitely cop it. Rec, give them all your information, bro.
Oh man! So Twitter is at DJ Rec1 and the IG is Worldwide Rec1. The foundation will be back up this week. I'll be dropping another mix for that, but it's going to be on a totally new site. So I'll put that out probably on my Twitter feed.
All right, no doubt. Jake, give me all your information where they can get a fresh cut at, man.
Yeah. Well, you can check out my website for the barbershop is thechopshop508.com. And then my personal website is jakecutsfresh.com. You can find me off of that. You can find all my social stuff. But I also want to just drop now. I just started my own podcast about the barber life. I actually started it by accident. I was using this new app called Anchor, where you can do it's like Twitter but for sound bites. And then I did this rant, and then it's like, you want to make this a podcast? And I was like, sure. And they emailed me a half hour later. Okay, you can find it on iTunes podcast.
That's what's up.
Okay, so I had to. So it's called #BarberLife, and I plan on contributing to that. I want to do once a week. We'll see. They're 5 to 10 minutes right now, and we'll see what happens with guests and things like that. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited, man.
All right, that's what's up. Thank you. All your stuff, bro.
Yo, you can follow me on social media at Vegas World INC. That being Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Even though it's not on my phone, shit taking my battery. But you can check out my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast. It's available on everything, but the hub is soundcloud.com/Hip Hop Now Podcast.
All right, that's what's up. You already know it is with me, Kill889 on Twitter and IG. We'll make beats for food. Also, because Jake shouted out that Funk Flex joint that I forgot about, one of my favorite joints on there was the Buckshot joint, where Buckshot was rhyming over I Ain't No Joke, and then he was rhyming over the Salt and Pepper Get On Up joint, which was crazy.
Man, that turned into a song, didn't it?
I want to say it was like a song. I mean, they shot a video for it. You know what I mean? That was crazy. And then also, and I want to say my man Roots OG this with his Milk Crate segment of Strictly Hip Hop, where they play the original sample and then played who used it. But you had my man out of Philly, Soul Man. Of course, this ain't an original joint, but we had those mixtapes, and I want to give them some shine, where you had cats like Soul Man, Fusion out of Baltimore. God, names are failing me right now, but cats who would have all the original samples and everything like that on mixtapes like that. So, this was the type of episode, like I said, we all learning from each other. I'm sure everybody here named tapes that the other hadn't heard or forgot about. So all y'all, half of these joints are still out there. Just taking the day to kind of thumb through some Ron G on YouTube, check them out, see what we talking about, see why we were so hype about them, see why, we know the numbers and everything is so specific and everything like that, because these definitely mixtapes and now mixed CDs or whatever definitely played a huge part in our upcoming in hip hop. And I think probably one of the main reasons was because they were able to put a collection of songs together that you wanted, which is now something that's easily done, but wasn't as easy in the 80s to just, you had to listen to the whole album for the most part. It was very hard to have to say, okay, I want this EPMD song and this, and that's why I do my best of mixes, because you could just have everything in one sit. But it is what it is, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. I'll check y'all next week.